from, first of all, I'm going to start out, give you a little bit of an overview and show you a little bit of the finance. But most of the time I spend, I'm going to go through the cycle from starting with an opportunity and going all the way through manufacturing and sales and purchasing and ultimately shipping the product and invoicing it at the end. Okay, to start out with, I just want to show you this overview of this, what's called a role center here. This is the page that the users would see when they open the system. And this has, it's sort of a dashboard look where it has all of the information that, that a specific user or specific role would have within the organization. So these are tailored to the different roles within your company, so different users could see different things, based on what their role is within the company. So this home screen has a lot of information on it, has a lot of menus, and the idea is that from this screen you can do with just 1 or 2 clicks, you could do pretty much everything that you need to do from this screen and see the information that you need to see. So there are a lot of menus here across the top for different areas of the system that will open up different pages when you click on these. There are also these quick actions here where you can just click on these plus icons where you can create a new sales quote or order or invoice and so on just with 1 click. You can also see here down below, you can see some KPI type information here with your sales and sales invoices. You can drill down on any of these numbers to see the details behind that. You have the same thing here with these cues, these boxes here, which are filtered views of these different areas. Like, for example, ongoing sales, it shows you have 27 sales orders that are open. And if you click on this, you can see a list of those. And then with another click, you can open that individual sales order and view it. Okay, and then you can just click to go backward here and get right back where you started. So there are many different cues, and these would depend on what the type of role is, again, that the user has. And then there's some other charts here and graphs and information where they can see different KPI. Here you have different charts that you can view. You can drill down here and see different charts or select different charts that are in the system where you can see that on your page when you open the system. You can also set up here some favorite accounts that you're monitoring. In this case, they're monitoring the cash and bank accounts. There's a mini trial balance section. There's a Power BI report here that you can expand, make this bigger so you can see it better. So there's some Power BI reports that you can customize, or that we can customize for you to show information related to like sales, purchasing, and production in this case. So we have these different tabs that show different information, and you can click on filters here to change what you're viewing. Okay, so you can see different things. You can filter on different items or different customers. Okay, so you can change the view where you can just see certain customers. Okay, and then you can see the graphs here and the amounts. Okay, and again, you can also see information regarding purchasing in the same way, or production. So again, these are customizable based on what data is important to you or what you want to see on your dashboard.
And we can create these dashboards, one that's important to you, Heather, maybe one that's important to the CEO, one that's important to the accounting guy. We'll create dashboards. We're gonna ask you what is important to all of you guys and create various dashboards.
Okay.
That'll be on your phone, real time, So your CEO won't have to call you every morning. Heather, I want to know, la, 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 la. You'll just see it on the phone.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, I'm just going to touch on finance a little bit, but there are it's a full-featured, very robust financial system. It has pretty much everything within the financial module with budgeting and fixed assets and reporting, and also on the cash management side, you can do cash flow forecasts, you can do uh, reconciliations, of course, cash receipts. Payment journals. You can also do consolidations, multi-currency. So it has pretty much everything that you would need in the finance section. We're just going to take a look here at the chart of accounts. And so from the chart of accounts, you can view here your individual accounts and your summary accounts with the details, both net change and balance. You can also set filters on these views, and you can filter, for example, we can filter totals by a date range, and that will change the data that we see here. So I can look at, for example, just the data for this quarter. Set a date range from April 1st to June 30th. And then I see different information here in the net change field because it's just showing now the current quarter. And then I can drill down on these numbers too, and then it'll only show me now the current quarter in the details as well. Then you can save these filtered views, and then you can see them listed here in your views. So you can save different filtered views here that you can just, when you open it up, you can just click on them, so you don't have to reset this filter each time. Okay, with the financial reports, there are certain canned reports here that come with the system. And you can create your own, though. You can start with these and modify them, or you can create your own from scratch. But this is something that's very much a tool for accountants to use to create and modify your reports. But just to show you an example, this budget to actual report. So I can open that up and I can see the results here on the screen with the budget to actual and the variance in the utilization percent. But I can also set filters here. So if you have uh, different dimensions that you want to filter by, like department or cost center or product categories, whatever you set up as dimensions, you can use here as filters on the report. And so if we set a filter here, then it will affect this data that shows below. So you can also set different rows and different columns. So you can see different things for your row definitions and your column definitions. So you define what columns you have and what rows you have on the reports. Okay, and you can also change what buckets you have here, or what time frame you're looking at, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. Okay, and then you can also then export this report to Excel with a click of a button, and then you can view and edit the information in Excel if you want. And you can do this with any of your reports that you create, or these canned reports that are in the system.
And we'll provide intense one-to-one training on this once it's implemented, so that you feel very comfortable using all of it.
Yes, yes, we can train you on that. And also, there's a really good help in the system too. There's this Microsoft Learn, which has a ton of information. I'm just looking at it here in general, but it has all of these areas where you can look at, how to do financial reports and so on. So it has the help can be activated too on an individual field
Yeah.
within a page, for example, and it'll go to the help. that's related to that specific field or that specific area that you're looking at. So I'm going to go next into the demo, but first I just want to show you what we're going to be working with in the demo. Now, in addition to these menus here across the top, you can also use this search button if you want to search for something. Like, for example, if I want to go to the item list, I can just click on items, or excuse me, type in items in the search and then click on items. And then I can see the list of items here. There's different views. This is just a list view, but there's also like a tile view here or tall tiles. So where I can see pictures of the items. And in this case, we're going to be working with this almond cookie item. Okay, so if I click on that, then I can open up the item record, which has a lot of details related to this item, like quantity on hand and cost information and planning information and so on. From here, also, I can look at the structure. And so, for example, I can see what does it take to make this item. This is an item that we manufacture, the almond cookies. So what are the ingredients and the steps required to make this? So I can look at the structure to see those details. So I can see that it requires these components here, these items, these components of the recipe. And then I can also see that it requires these 3 steps where we make the dough, then we cut out the cookies, and then we bake the cookies. So it's 3 simple steps here, and we're going to go through these steps, and we're going to use these, consume these ingredients in the process. It also tells us what the quantity needed is here. Okay, there's also a costed version of that same thing where you can see also cost information for each of these components and steps that are involved in making the almond cookies. Okay, so we're going to get started now with the process. So we're going to start out with creating an opportunity. Okay, so we're going to go from creating a new opportunity, and I'm going to click on Show More so I can see more of the fields. Okay, and then I'm going to select a contact for the opportunity. And I'll just enter a quick description here. Okay, and I'll enter the salesperson who's managing the opportunity and I'll select a sales cycle of existing customer, and you can define the sales cycles. We're going to go through a few steps here, 4 steps in the sales cycle. So, but you can define your own steps in your sales cycles. Okay, and then I'm going to activate the first stage of this opportunity. Okay, so we're in the initial stage of the opportunity now, and so we have some statistics, and this is considered 2% completed and 10% chance of success. And you can look at your statistics for all of your opportunities and you can look at them like by contact or by salesperson, for example. Then as you go through the different stages of working the opportunity, you can do updates and go to the next stage. So the next stage in our case is presentation to the prospect. Okay, and we can put in an estimated sales value here. And we can enter the chance of success and an estimated closing date and click OK. And so now we see here now the active stage is the presentation stage. Now, as you go through these steps and you do actions, you can also create interactions where you can create different types of interactions that you have with the contact. So for example, you can send letters or emails or different meeting invitations, so you can do different things, and you can log those as interactions as you go through the steps. There are also other ways that you can document activities as you go through the steps. You can have tasks. You can record tasks that you need to do, and you can also just type in comments or notes regarding this opportunity. Okay, and then once we get to the third stage, then we're going to do a proposal. And at the proposal stage, we're going to create a sales quote. I'm going to click on Create Sales Quote, and that's going to create a quote document here where we indicate what item we're going to quote. So I'm going to select the almond cookies, and I'm going to enter a location code for our East warehouse, and then I'll enter a quantity. I enter a price. Let's do it that way. Okay, so I have 1,000 kilograms of $5 each. It's kind of a lot of cookies. So we're going to go ahead, and then what we would do next typically is we would send this. We would send it by email, or you can print it, or you can attach it as PDF to get it to the prospect. I'll go ahead and print it and preview it. So you can see here an example of the sales quote, and of course this would have your logo on it. Okay, so once that's sent off to the prospect, we can then continue on with our opportunity, and we'll go to the next stage. And so we'll go to the proposal stage. And then after the proposal stage is our last stage of signing the contract. So at this stage, it's 100%. They're signing off. So we'll click OK. And now we've completed our opportunity, and we'll just close it out. And we'll say that we won this one. And we'll enter this close opportunity code, and we'll say what's the reason why we think we won that, and click OK. So that gives us some statistics on the opportunities you won versus lost, and also some data on what has been successful for you.
Congrats, Tim, you got the deal.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So now I'll create, or excuse me, I'll go back to the sales quote that we already created earlier. Okay, and then I'm going to make the order. Okay, and it says, do you want to convert the quote to an order? Yes. And do you want to open the new order? Yes, I do. I want to go and open that order and take a look at it. So at this stage of the order, you can change it if you need to. You can change the information on it. Also, if you can start this process at any stage, like you don't have to start at the opportunity. You could just start at the sales quote, or you could just start at the sales order. You don't have to do an opportunity or a sales quote if you don't want. So, and that can, change for each individual transaction that you do with a customer or a prospect. You can, at each time, you can decide whether You want to, you're starting from an opportunity or a sales quote or a sales order. Okay, so it's very
Or
flexible.
or in your case, it could come right from the EDI and that kicks it off.
Yes,
Heather, you know what I mean?
yes.
Yeah,
So you join in wherever you want in your process.
okay.
Okay, and once the sales order is good, how you want it to be, then you're going to just release the order. Okay, so I'll change the status to released. And now we are ready to process the order. Okay, so now I mean, we're ready to, actually, we're ready to process the demand, I should say, to be more precise. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the planning worksheet. So there are different ways that we can have the system create the almond cookies that are needed for the sales order. So you can create a production order directly from the sales order if you like. But in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to use this planning worksheet, which would look at all of our demand in the system. It could be from sales orders or it could be from forecasts. And it's going to calculate what is needed. So it's going to look at what you have on inventory versus what you have on all of your demand. And then it's going to then calculate the difference between your supply and demand. And it's going to suggest if you have a deficiency of supply versus demand, then it'll recommend that you create a supply order to meet the difference. So we're going to calculate the plan here. And we're going to run this calculation as is here. And then it's going to, yes.
So I just want to comment here. So this could be happening with an auto reorder replenishment point also without even getting an order. You follow, Heather?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can set up all of these reorder points and reorder quantities here on the item cards, and that can drive it.
There's a spot when you set those up, it's like lead time and all that is in there.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we're looking at here what the system is recommending is that we create a new production order for 1,000 kilograms of almond cookies. And it also shows that we're short one of the components, which is almonds. So we saw when we looked at the structure, we have several components on it, but we only have one that we don't have enough in inventory to make the 1,000 on the production order. And that's this almond. So this almond is short. We need 100 of those. So it's recommending we create a purchase order to meet that supply requirement. Okay, so what we can do from this screen is we can click on accept action message for those that we want to act on. And then we can go to carry out action message to carry out the suggestions that we have selected here. And in this case, we've selected that we want to create a new production order for 1,000 of the almond cookies. And we want to create a new purchase order for 100 of the almonds. So let's go ahead and carry that out. And we have the production order here we're going to create and the purchase orders we're going to create. We'll click OK. This will create all of them. We only have 2 here, but of course you could have hundreds on there that you're creating at once. Okay, so now we have a firm plan production order we've created, and we also have a purchase order that we've created. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and process the purchase order so that we can get in the supply that we need in order to process the production order afterward. So we'll go to the purchase order list. See here we have a purchase order that we just created for Sam General Trading. for the 100 almonds. Okay, so purchasing then can look at this and see if they want to, they can change the quantity, they can change the cost on this, so they can edit this, and then once it's good, then they can release it. Okay, so now it's ready to be received. Also, I should show you too, just like on the quote here, you can also send this. So you can send it via email, you can attach this PDF, you can print it out, and go ahead and preview that. So here's the purchase order. Okay. And we'll send that out to the vendor. Okay, so now we're waiting to receive the item. So the next step, once they come in, we can go ahead and receive it. So we can start from warehouse receipts. Well, let me show you first so there's different ways you can receive it. You can receive it from the application here, like I was starting to do, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, but you can also receive it or instead from a mobile device. Okay, so on the mobile devices, you go to this PowerPoint here where I have the screens you can see from the mobile device. So you would see functions like this on a mobile device where you have different processes that you can do. So you can do receiving, you can do shipping, you can do the consumption and output against the production order, and all of these other functions as well. So you can just click on receive if you're using a mobile device, like maybe you're using a handheld Zebra device, or you can use a phone too. You can use a tablet. So there are different types of devices you can use where you can run the application. Okay, and it's fully integrated. So when you receive from here, it's receiving directly into the application. Okay, so you can click on receive, and then you see a screen something like this where you would have a list of POs to receive, and you would select one, and then you would see a list of items on the POs, and you would select the item that you're receiving and enter the quantity then that you're receiving, and then you would post it. Okay, and then, as I said, the system is updated. It's fully integrated real time. So it would immediately add that to inventory and post the receipt and update the PO.
Are you using guns in your warehouse today, Heather?
Guns? Oh,
Yeah.
No.
How are you doing it right now?
Oh man, we are so manual. It's not even funny.
Okay.
It's all manual paper.
All right. So that's where I guess so we'll recommend we can also recommend which guns to get so you can scan when the stuff comes in, okay?
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
And then the system will print labels, like all that. Everything will is what I'm imagining. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna show you
Yes.
that.
Awesome.
Okay, so then we're going to go to I'll show you how to do it on the system as well. So you can go to warehouse receipts. And again, this is something you can also do, in the back office or on a tablet. You can do this process in the system, or if you're using mobile devices, or your mobile device breaks down or something, you could always do it through the application as well. So we can enter then the location that we're receiving into, and then we would select the PO from this Get Source Documents. Okay, so I click on the PO that we're receiving. Okay, and then we would want to create the lots that we're receiving. So if you're creating your own lots or you're entering the vendor lots, you can do that from here, or you can just print labels and then scan the labels. So there's different ways to do this, but we can assign lots from here, from this screen. Okay, and then we enter an expiration date. You can also just have these expiration dates automatically calculate for you. Okay, so then I'll close that. And then enter the quantity to receive. Okay, just want to make sure that that was good. Okay, so we're entering the quantity to receive and enter the lot. So this quantity to receive could be different than what the quantity is, but I'm just making them the same in this case. Okay, let me just make a note of that lot number. Okay, it's 184. Look at that later in the item tracing. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and we'll post this. Okay, and it says it was posted successfully. So then on the purchase order, the purchase order is updated when you post the receipt, regardless of the way that you post it. And it shows here that the quantity received was 100 and it's waiting to be invoiced. So there's no quantity invoiced yet. So then AP, when they get the invoice in, then they would enter the posting date, and then they would enter the vendor invoice number, and then they would post the invoice. They could also, if they needed to, let me just show you here, on the lines, if they wanted to add freight charges or something, they could add that here. If there's something additional on the vendor invoice that needs to be paid, and then they would post. Okay, so I'm just going to invoice in this case because we already received.
I have a question about this part.
Yes.
So I guess from purchase order to invoice, if they add like attachments for the receiving, and then like there's quality documents, and we have a report for food that comes in. So do those stay with the process as it flows through, or is that something that would need to be reattached? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, so are you talking about like external documents that you scan, or are you talking about
Right, yeah,
information
like
that's contained within the system?
so it'd be like
Internal. Yeah.
bill of
Go ahead.
ladings or like proof of delivery. We add them to the invoice, and so they get collected and receiving, then accounting adds them to the invoice, so those same people could do it.
Okay.
I just have to go in and like
Yeah.
download,
Yeah.
reattach, or
Yes, you would have to attach those. Yeah, you could do that through the documents here. You can attach documents. You can drag and drop files here to
They
attach
can
them.
also, if you, with the new guns also have cameras on them, they can take a picture and attach it right there too.
Okay, yeah, and then so the receiving document gets converted to the bill, right? Quantity wise, I suppose. So is that like the same record, or does it kind of turn it? I guess I'm just wondering if those attachments will stay with it once it's converted.
Once it's converted, like from an order to an invoice, for example? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, typically, you would attach it to what you want to attach to. So, for example, if you post an invoice from a purchase order, then you would attach it to the posted invoice, which is a different document in the system than the purchase order.
Right. Okay. All right. And as far as like the ability for someone to log in, I guess, and their role is receiving. So that, is there a way to customize their role where that is their whole function within the system.
Yeah, so there's two different things there. One is what the receivables person would see on their roll center, right? What we looked at before. And that's something that you can customize for that role of receivables person. But in addition to that, there's also security set up in the system or permissions, which is it's typically set by the role, right? So you have a role for receivables and you can just assign that to the user. But within that role, there are certain permissions that allow access to individual tables within the system. And anything that they aren't given permission to, in terms of the tables that are allowed, then they wouldn't be able to access. They would get an error when they tried to access it.
Okay.
Okay.
Good thing.
All right. You're welcome. So next we're going to go to the QC process. 'Cause I want to show you here that our lot, which is lot 184, just showing you here that when it comes in, based on how we have it set up, we have it being blocked. Okay, so this lot cannot be used until it is QC inspected, because we have the Allman set up to be QC inspected. Okay, so what that means is we have to process a test order for that. So we go to the QC tests. Okay, and we'll create a new one. And then we'll select type of purchase. Okay, and it's for the SAM trading. Okay, and it's for the almonds, and it's the lot number 184. Filled that in for us. Okay, so for this example, and you set up these plans for whatever you want. You set up your own tasks, your own codes here, and so this is fully customizable. This is just an example that we set up. But we set up this example to show the different ways that you can enter test data. So for example, this color gives us different choices here, that these values that you set up. Okay, so we can select one there, and then comments, you can just type in free text here. Type in whatever you want there for comments. And then this is a numeric range, a min-max range here, we can see. So we enter what the value is for this one, and then the system checks if it fits within the min-max. And then there's also visual check, which is just a yes, no. So those are the 4 different ways that you can enter data. And then once you enter all of your QC test steps, then you update the status to say whether it was accepted or rejected. And we'll say it was accepted, and we'll go ahead and post this. So now, because it was accepted and we posted that, now if we look at the lot, we can see that the lot now should be unblocked. Okay, so now we're able to use that lot. We can't, if it's blocked, we are not able to use it in our production process. Okay, so now that we've received in what we need, we're going to go ahead and go and process the production order. Okay, so we have this firm planned production order here that we created earlier from the planning worksheet. And on this firm planned production order, we have to change the status to a released production order in order to release it to the production floor. So there's sort of a control there, a gate, that for the planner to for them to control, what is in the planning stages versus what is ready to go to production. And one of the criteria for releasing it typically is that you have all the materials on hand. So, or all of the components needed for the recipe. So what we can do from the firm planned order is we can print a shortage list to see if there's anything that we're missing. We're printing it out just for one production order here, but you can print it out for all production orders or a specified group of them. We'll just print it for this one. We want to see if we're short anything, and it says that it's empty. And that means that there are no shortages. If there were any shortages, it would come out with a report that would say you need this many, you only have this many, so you have a shortage that you need to deal with. It wouldn't prevent you from releasing it, but it would just notify you that you're not ready to start that until you get the materials in. Okay, or get the almonds in this case. So that looks good. So we'll go ahead and change the status then to released. Okay, so now that removes it from the firm planned queue, and now it is in the released production order queue. Okay, so here it is here. So we have this order now for 1,000 almond cookies, and attached to this order, we have the routing, which are the steps to make it. Okay, and then we also have the components. Okay, so we see what components we need in order to make this. And we can also, when we're scheduling the production, we can use this graphical scheduler to see the dates here. Okay, we see here on these are our work centers here. And we have some different steps. These are our steps here. We see we have the dough making, and this is due to be run on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we have the cookie cutting, which will start at when that ends on Friday, and that'll run through to Tuesday, and then we'll do the baking on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, and you can move things around so you could see all of your production schedule here. So you could see, if you have a conflict, for example, you can move things around. So I can move this cookie cutting from this cookie cutting 1 station to cookie cutting 2, for example. Okay, and this will update the production order dynamically whenever I drag and move something. You can also change the time. So you can see how it's connected to the other ones though, but if I move this one out and say, well, we're not going to be able to start this until Friday, so it will update that, and it'll also move the other 2 operations as well.
Can you export this at all? I'm looking for the functions. Oh, up there. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. You want to export it to like a Excel file or something, or
Yeah.
No, not
Okay.
this view, you can't, no.
Okay.
This is more of it's more of a graphic screen, so it's not really
Okay.
uh,
You can print
conducive to
that.
that. Yeah, I don't think it's printable either, but we could take a look at that. But typically you would, well, this is more for like to use on the screen in terms of moving around your plan, and then you can print your plan from another place after it's
Okay,
updated.
okay, that's fine, that's fine,
Okay.
that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
what I was, yeah, okay.
Okay, and then so then we're ready to process the production order. So again, you might remember seeing when we were looking at the PowerPoint, we're going to start doing the consumption and output now. And so you could do that from a handheld device,
Mhm.
but in our case here, we're going to process it from the production order here. So it depends on whether your environment and your personnel, are conducive to using these mobile devices out on the shop floor, or if you would prefer to do it, from a machine off of the shop floor. Or you could, also run the application on a tablet and do it on the shop floor as well. So it depends on what your needs are really. Okay, so on the components, so again, you would typically be scanning this information. So you would scan what lots you're using, right? As you dump these ingredients into the hopper in the machine, you would be scanning which lots you're using. But in this case, I'm just going to enter them manually, which is a little bit more cumbersome. So this is going to take a couple minutes here, but I'm going to select a lot for each of these.
Yeah, so he's gonna enter them manually, but in real life, we would recommend you have a scanning gun and click, 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 click. It'll be done like, in seconds. Um, actually, that reminds me of a question. In your warehouse, Heather, how many people do you estimate will be needing guns in the warehouse to scan and ship, to
Uh,
receive and ship?
For my warehouse, probably two. For my finished goods out, probably two.
So the finish should, okay, wait, so that's two different warehouses, same people.
No, two different warehouses. We have frozen products, so it ships out of our freezer.
Okay, so two in the receiving and two in the shipping, right?
That's right. I mean, if you ask me right now, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I'm asking these questions now while he's inputting these manually. To shipping. Okay, got it. And I guess it's a freezer. So the warehouse is like a freezer basically, right?
Correct.
So you would probably need some guns that can handle that. So I'll keep that in my mind. When I recommend the guns for the freezer, I'm going to recommend different guns than maybe the receiving area because they have to be a little bit more durable to handle the cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So shipping is a freezer. Okay. Write that down here.
Okay. Are you ready to move on, Rick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we have these components set to backflush, so which means a backward flushing method, which means that the system will automatically consume these ingredients when we post the output of the item that we're making. But you could also set this to manual, and then you can manually enter the consumption for each of these ingredients.
Now, when you say manual, would that be like as they use it, they scan it, or is that manual like as they use it, they key it in?
Either one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, either one. But the point being that you have to enter a quantity as opposed to the system just saying, well, based on the quantity that you produced, then it should be, based on the quantity of the bill of material quantity per, then it should be this much. So the system calculates the quantity for you if you're back flushing.
Got you. Okay.
All right, so then we'll also enter here we'll enter a lot here for the item that we're making. I'll just assign the next lot and enter an expiration. Okay, so then we will post the output, which again is also going to post the consumption of the ingredients. So the output again has 3 steps here. So you may be posting these individually, from at the operation. If you're using a handheld, you would probably be posting them as the operation completes. But I'm just going to post them all together from here. I'm just going to enter a runtime and an output quantity. It's going to enter some runtime in there for how long it took so that we get some labor figures. And then I'll just leave the output quantity as 1,000 for each operation. And then I'm going to go ahead and post that. Okay, it's a posting setup error. Hang on.
And while he's looking, I'll ask you a question. What EDI system do you use, Heather?
True Commerce.
True Commerce. Okay, no problem. Yeah, we've integrated that for a few customers already.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll just ask a couple more questions while we're at it. What's your total head count of employees?
Like total, everybody
Yep.
at 94.
Sorry, how many?
94.
94, okay. Okay. And in the accounting department, it's like what, 2, 1?
It's
Finance?
just me and Derek for right
Okay.
now. We will be adding to it, I'm sure, soon.
Okay, and what about like, so we showed you that CRM thing in the beginning. Is that something you will use? And if so, how many salespeople do you have that would be using that?
I mean, we have one product development. I have to get a little bit more familiar kind of how we operate. So typically, like, just to get a feel for us, it's like where are you guys at? Where are you located?
We're in Michigan.
Okay, so you guys have Kroger?
Yes.
grocery- Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, it's not like, hey, I go to Kroger and be like, do you want 1,000 cases of this product? That's not how it works. It's like Kroger's like, okay, we're going to take this, and this SKU and put them in these stores. But like, he may be able to use it for like, as he's planning these different retailers,
Okay.
you
All
know?
right.
So I don't know. I don't.
All right, well, it's there. When we do the discovery, then we can decide how to utilize it or not use it when we go deep in your processes,
Yeah. So is
Okay.
it like something in addition you pay for?
No, it
and
comes
like-
with the system. It comes with
Okay,
the system.
okay,
It's up to you
Okay.
to use it or not use it,
okay.
right? I mean,
Right.
for some people, we've integrated it with other CRMs. Some people use this one. Some people don't use it at all. It's there.
Right. And like, as far as like, users are concerned, like, obviously the majority of those employees are production staff, just like the managers, supervisors, and leads would probably be utilizing it.
Right, and that's why I was gonna ask you, in your opinion, like, how many total, not every worker needs a license, but the managers do, the department heads do. So I was gonna ask you, for 94 employees, I typically guess around 20 to 30 20 licenses, but you would tell me what you think.
Yeah. I mean, I would say 20 to 30. I can do a little calculation and let you know.
Right, and okay, so we'll and so just let me know that later on today, whenever you get a chance, because I'm gonna writing up your sort of proposal, okay?
Right.
All
Okay.
Okay, but I think Tim's okay to carry on. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, we posted the production journal. Yeah, no problem. And sorry about that error. That was just a setup that was missing. I think someone else might be working in our demo system because that posted last night with no error. But we'll move on now to so we finished the production order here. So we see now we have a finished quantity of 1,000. And so now we can look at the statistics for this production order. Okay, so we can see this, we're not using standard cost with this item, so this column's actually irrelevant. So it's really more the expected versus actual
So
that we would be looking at.
does the expected pull from the recipe that was loaded? And then the actual would give us like waste and everything else is kind of what I'm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and
And
because I backflush the components, the material cost is identical, right? Because I backflush the expected, and so the expected becomes the actual. But if you're to enter them manually and your numbers are different than what was expected, then you would have a material variance here.
okay, yeah, and that's exactly how I think that we would do it.
Yes. And then this number here was based on the labor hours that I entered, both for the capacity is basically labor, and then overhead is calculated based on the capacity.
Okay.
So my numbers I entered were a little low, but so that's
Okay.
good. We made it. We made a lot of money then.
Yeah, that's always good.
All right. So the next step then, so once we have this into inventory, then we can go ahead and ship the sales order. So we can go back to the sales order that we created earlier. Okay, so we output the 1,000. Those 1,000 are sitting in inventory and they're waiting to be shipped. So we're going to do the shipment via warehouse shipment. And again, you can do this process on the handheld as well, but we'll just do it from here.
Okay, just up the copy. You watch that first.
Okay, so this works like with the warehouse receipt, where we're going to get the source document in order to select what sales order we're shipping against. Okay, so we're going to ship against this one. And so what we need to do is we need to tell it, okay, which lot are we shipping? So you would just be scanning the box if you had a label with the lot on it on the box. So for example, you could print out a see if I can get the lot label here. There are different ways that you can get to this, but you can print it here from the lot. So we can show you what that looks like. So you have the almonds and the lot number. So it's just a simple label. Oh, that's the wrong one. Excuse me. That's not the finished good lot. That's that's the other one. But it's the same concept. That was for the almonds, but you would put that label on your almonds when you receive them in, and then you would scan that when you do production, and then you would print out the lot as you output the production. You would print out the lot for the almond cookies that you're making. You would print that label and attach it to your finished goods, and then send that out to shipping. Okay, so then at shipping, you could scan that and scan it into here. Actually, you can also scan from this screen if you want. So you can do this scan multiple, and then you can scan all of your lots on that screen. Okay, so once you scan your lot to select it and enter your quantity that you're shipping here, we're going to ship the whole 1,000, and then we're going to post the shipment. Now you could ship, or you can ship and invoice at the same time if you want. Now also, typically, you will do post and print. So you can see the packing slip, or print out the packing slip. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm just going to ship so we can go back and look at the sales order after we ship, and then we'll invoice from the sales order. Okay, so the shipment's been posted, and it created this PDF because I clicked print. So it created this PDF of the shipment. So we would add your logo to this and change the format a little bit if needed. Okay. And so now go back to the sales order. Okay, we can see that the sales order has been shipped and it hasn't been invoiced yet. And you could see from your list here of your sales orders, you could also click on this ship not invoiced and see all of the orders outstanding that need to be invoiced. Okay, and then open up the one that we want to invoice. So again, if you wanted to, you could add additional charges here. You can add some freight charges or miscellaneous charges to this by adding more lines. I'll just leave it as is, and I'm going to bill them for the 5,000. So I have quantity to invoice 1,000, and I can go ahead and post. Now I can also post and send, which gives us this option here to where you can send to a printer, you can send to email via email, or you can send to a disk, which means to save it as a file, a PDF file. You can also send it as an electronic document to the customer. Or in any combination of these, you can do multiple things at once. Okay, I'll just do to the printer. I'm just going to invoice in this case. And then because I told it, I wanted to see the screen to select some options here. And I did that so we could preview it instead of printing it. Okay, so here's the invoice then. And again, you can automatically email that to the customer if you like.
That's invoicing.
There, I printed it. Okay, so that's the entire process from start to finish. I wanted to also show you the item tracing. So we can enter like a lot or item number here. Our lot that we shipped was lot 0185. 0185, yeah, that was it. Okay, so we can click on trace and we can get this tracing data then where we can see what all happened to this item. So it's starting from the shipment and working backwards. Okay, so it works backwards to the receipt of all of the components and then the consumption of the components. So you can see who we shipped this lot to. We can see all the components and who they were purchased from. In our case, we just purchased the almonds. The other ones were entered with inventory transactions, which is why they don't show vendors. But we can see the all of the component lots, all of the ingredient lots that went into our lot that we made.
How are you tracking this stuff today, Heather? On a spreadsheet or what?
Yes, sir, spreadsheet.
Okay, this is gonna be the part that is gonna make life easier.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So we can also trace in the other direction. So I can click on this receipt here, or I could put lot 184 in here. Either way works. And then in this case, I'm going to do opposite from line. So I want to see, okay, well, for this receipt, what all did this go into? So if this, in this case, it just went into this, from this receipt, it was consumed here on this production order, and then it went out on this shipment. But if we had used this same lot, in 10 different production orders or 10 different shipments, they would all be listed here. So you can trace any lot in your system in either direction. Okay, so are there any questions on anything?
Yeah, I have a few. Jared,
Okay.
do you have any?
No,
Okay. How okay, like let's say one of our products is mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we enter in like if we're making it, 1,000 pounds, I don't know, of mac and cheese, what the recipe is? So that way it pulls all the right ingredients.
Yeah, so that would be you enter the recipes on this production bombs. So we have the recipe that we worked with for almond cookies is identified here. So you can, on your production bomb, you can enter any unit of measure here. So you can enter like your production batch unit of measure, for example. So
Okay,
maybe
that's
whenever you run almond cookies, you enter it in batches of 1,000 kilograms.
Okay,
You can
so
enter a unit of measure for 1,000 kilograms, and then all of these components would be based on 1,000 kilograms.
so BOM stands for batch.
It actually
Batch of,
stands for a bill of materials, which is just a sort of a standard term for manufacturing environments. So this, the same structure can be used for any manufacturing process where it's basically just a list of components. Those components could be, ingredients like this case, or they could be, other types of things. You could be, you could also be, building a bicycle, and you would use the same structure.
So your bill of materials is your ingredients. We call it BOM. That's your ingredients, and then there's something called MRP, which is your recipe, and how you mix it, when, where, how.
okay.
Yeah, so this is where you could say when we make this, we want to make a batch of 1,000, for example, or you could just say kilograms, and this is how much we're going to use of each ingredient per that. So
Okay.
then when you make a production order in the system and you say, okay, I'm going to make this quantity of this, and then you refresh the production order, and the production order will calculate, well, these are all the ingredients that you need in order to make that.
I think typically we would do the unit of measure, I guess, would be cases. of
Yeah.
product. And
Mhm.
inputs are usually cases we get from the supplier and pounds of meat. So is it possible to like blend those unit of measures in one bill of
Sure, yes. Yeah, that's very common, so you could manufacture here in case if you want, and they could be, and these, you define what these units of measure are. These are just samples here, but you can define whatever units of measure you use. Then for any given item, like almond cookies, for example, you can have one unit of measure that you make the item, and then also I'll show you on the item card. You can have another unit of measure for a different unit of measure for your base unit of measure. That's usually like your lowest unit of measure that you want to deal with in the system is your base. And then you can also sell it in another unit of measure. And this is just a default too. So this would default on your sales orders when you select this item, but you could change it on the sales order to any other unit of measure you have set up for this item. And then your purchase unit of measure could be, your default could be something else entirely. So you can have different defaults, and then you can also select, you can enter all the units of measure. Units of measure for this item. So this is item unit of measure. So in this case, we have pieces of cookies, and then we have kilograms. This isn't really set up correctly. Typically, you would have, so 1 kilogram, this would be, maybe like 20 cookies or something, 20, something like that. So it'd be 20 cookies. So everything else you enter relates back to the base unit of measure.
Mhm.
Okay, so a box would be so many kilograms, right? You could have a box of cookies, and that's, a certain number of kilograms.
Mhm.
So what's the minimum batch that you do for one mac and cheese run?
Oh man, per batch, maybe 3,000 pounds per batch.
So we'd work it back with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you can have as many units of measure here as you want for almond cookies, and then you can use any unit of measure you set up here, you can use on any of those transactions, on production orders, you can use any of them. On sales, you can use any of them, and on purchasing, you can use any of them.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And
And-
then,
So it's very flexible. You can do really whatever you want with it.
and then Rick, what is the area you were talking about?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
When I was talking about the BOM and you said.
Oh, yeah.
The
So bill of
MRP or
materials is bill of materials are the ingredients, and then the recipe is the sort of like the routing and the instructions what to do with it.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Where's that?
Tim, can you show them some of the routing type
The
steps?
routing? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think that's more like the recipe, right? Of how you do it.
Yeah, so here's the almond cookie one that we did, where we said, these are the steps, these are the operation steps, and we do them in this order. We do 10, 20, 30. And these are the work centers. We have this work center for dough making, and then it needs to go through the work center for cookie cuttings, and then it goes through the baking work center. A work center could be a machine or a group of machines that do the same thing. And
Okay.
then we also say, well, this is when we run this almond cookies through this work center, we need to have this setup time here. There are also these, well, let me see if it's already showing over here.
So for example, right now we're doing a client that does like they make like chicken kebabs, and it's very complex recipe with a lot of complex steps, and it's all sort of broken down minute by minute, process by process.
Got you.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to see that area. Can you slide the bar over when you
Yes, yes. I just wanted to add these so you can see what that means.
Oh, I
Okay.
see.
So here, this is 10 minutes of setup time for this, and then 1 minute runtime per uh, per batch that you're running.
Okay.
So in our case, we're entering these and we're making them in kilograms on our bill of material, which would mean this is 1 minute per kilogram. But if we were doing, a whole batch of 1,000 and we're making them and reporting it in batches of 1,000, then, that would calculation would be different in terms of how long the runtime is. But so this routing is just is sort of your expected, right? But then when you're actually running it, you can enter something different if you want. So, and that's where your variant comes in, because your routing is what would be your expected cost or your standard cost. If you're using a standard costing system or method, then your standard would be based on this routing.
Be right. Keep going over here.
Is that making sense, Derek?
Yeah, no, this looks great.
Got you.
Do you have just a couple other cleanup questions? Do you have anything in here for like maintenance related, like if a machine's down? Just curious if they're incorporated in this at all.
Yeah, you could put so for one thing that some people do is if it's if it's like planned maintenance, you can do a production order for it. You can as sort of a placeholder for that time. Or and also you can then enter if you want to, you can enter some details on that process. But also
Okay.
you can just enter on your calendar. You can say the machine's not going to be available this time. It's going to be down for maintenance, and that's
Okay.
just on your work centers, which is what what we looked at, like with with the cookies, like for baking, for example. So your baking work center, and you can say that you can log absences when the work center is not available.
Okay. Okay. Back to the financial component. Is it able to integrate like different entities at all?
Can you, what do you have in mind in terms of
I'm just
entities?
thinking,
Like
go back,
like consolidation type of?
yeah, can you go back to the finance piece?
Yes.
Let me just wrap my head around what I'm thinking.
So there are, I mean, you can have, if you have separate financial entities, you
Mhm.
can set up different companies or even separate databases and then consolidate them. There's a whole consolidations process. So
Okay.
the way that works is you can create a consolidated company, and then all of the other companies, it's not a very good screen to show, but all the other companies roll up into the consolidated company then.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And
How
there's
many legal entities do you have? How many legal entities do you have?
Right now, 6.
Yes.
Okay.
6. Probably
What-
gonna have one more.
So it'll be 7 active legal entities?
Correct. Most of the transactions happen under one. But just for legal reasons, we have the other one set up for separation, but
What are you gonna, okay, Gus, and the chart of accounts between those 7 legal entities matches, or we're gonna have to help you get that all talking to each other right?
I think we could set it up. I mean, obviously the chart of accounts in a Nighthawk Inc. Is big, and then the chart of accounts in the other ones are like 5. So they're not much.
All right, so we'd have to line them all up just so they talk to each other properly. All right,
Yes.
so let's understand that the Nighthawk is the main entity that does the selling or the production or both.
Both.
Okay, what do the other 6 companies do?
Essentially, like Nighthawk Equipment holds our equipment assets. Nighthawk Realty holds our land assets. Nighthawk Brands technically holds our brand assets. We don't really have anything in it, but we have a lease agreement, so we pay it monthly, and then they contribute back. So like it's a
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 3 of them.
Yeah, and that's how the other 2 are as well. Investments, we have our investment account in a separate entity. And
Okay,
then Enterprises kind of just owns all of them, and then
Okay. So we'll be setting up consolidation and intercompany transactions, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. All right.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, sir? No.
I'm good on mine.
Yep, I'm good on my end. I might shoot you guys a couple emails after Andrea and Matt and Jesus have the opportunity to watch the video.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so I've got the intercompany. So let me ask you a few more questions now.
Sure.
I'm gonna build a proposal based on 20 licenses, okay? Once we're doing the discovery and blah 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 blah, we can always add, okay?
Okay.
So we'll know exactly what's needed. Data migration, I need to understand that a little bit. What is your current system today that you're using? Your accounting wise anyway.
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, okay. Which one? Which version?
Enterprise.
Or online, or do you have it there?
We host it.
Sorry?
It's on our server.
Okay, got it. So data migration, can we start the system with opening balances, or do you want some history coming over?
I mean, if history coming over would be ideal.
What type of history would you like? What's important to you?
Sales
Mhm.
by retailer.
Sales by customer.
Uh-huh.
And how many years would you need of that?
What are we, 2024? QuickBooks only has 2012 on, so that's 12 years.
Yeah, so how many, look, the more you migrate, the more man hours it is. So, you gotta tell me what's like, the right amount.
I mean, if I'm answering right now without discussing with anybody, I would
Yeah,
say
high level.
12 years.
You want 12 years of sales data?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Got it. And it's
As
QP.
we talk through it, I might not need that much.
Right, I get it.
Have access to it. The
Well,
current.
there's also another way. If you can do you own that QuickBooks?
Do we own it?
The license of it? You bought it many years back or whatever?
I don't know. I pay
Okay.
for it here.
Because there is a way where you don't migrate any of it, and we can set up a report in Power BI that pulls from the QuickBooks and pulls from the Business Central, and you just see the comparative data.
Okay.
So you just keep that sitting there. You just keep that sitting there. So that I'll discuss that with the team. What might be the best approach? Okay.
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 You can even if you don't continue with with QuickBooks, you should be able to export that data too, maybe, and put it in something else. Just put it in files, right, and access it that way.
For the Power BI, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're paying like for a monthly or yearly license for QuickBooks, you don't want to do that in perpetuity. If you're just using it for history, maybe you can get that data out and then let go of the QuickBooks.
Right. Okay. And how many SKUs do you have?
56.
56. And this is a kind of weird question, but in your recipes or in your recipes, how many are there sub recipes that go into main recipes? Like, do you,
Like, yes, we do
how
have.
many? All right, how many sub recipes do you have that go into another recipe? Sub bombs, we call them.
Oh, that go into another recipe. Hold on, let me think this out. Let me think
Yeah.
this out. The hub recipes that go into another recipe.
Like steak sauce, enchilada.
Okay, yeah. Well, so like we make a steak sauce,
Yeah,
and then the steak sauce goes on top of some of the meals that we make. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, sub bombs. We call them phantom bombs. So we kind of know which is one component is another component of another component. That kind of thing helps me to know how we're going to be doing this.
So I would say the steak sauce, the potato sauce, and then the enchiladas, right? So we
Yeah.
have cheese, beef, brisket, chicken, veggie, spinach. Off
So
my
maybe
cup, I think 8.
okay, that's perfect. About approximately 8. That's fine. Okay, and integration wise, we talked about EDI True Commerce, and that's the only thing we'll be integrating with, you think?
Yeah, depending on, I guess, how the bank function works, probably just a bank. But outside of that, that would be it.
Yeah, so they have some pretty good out of the box bank integrations with most of the main banks. What's your bank?
Chase.
Chase. Okay, I think that's out of the box from Microsoft. Chase. What about and payroll? How do you doing that right now?
We do payroll. We use Amcheck.
Perfect. Okay, so we can integrate to that too. Amcheck.
Amcheck.
Got it.
MC and then check. Yeah, Amcheck.
All right, and when are you hoping to have a system like this live?
January 1.
Okay. What are we at now? We're in June, right?
June 20th.
Okay. Yeah, because this is typically a on average 4 to 6 month implementation. So you're right around the right time. And what's your year end? Your financial year end?
December 31.
Okay, that helps. Okay, so you can bring the right amount, proper data over.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have what I need to do a proposal for you, and I can take you through it. Are you free? Not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, same time-ish?
Saturday.
That Saturday? Sorry, No, not Saturday. What are we today? Today, Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay, how's your schedule looking tomorrow? I can write up this proposal tonight, and then we can go through it tomorrow.
Let's see. Pretty action packed. Let me see what we could do.
I need 30 minutes to go through it with you.
Okay. All right. Let's do. You're Central Standard, right?
We're EST, so I think we're an hour ahead of you.
Okay. So how is like 3 or 3:30 my time?
So that's 4:30 my time?
Yeah, hang on, let me grab this real quick. Sorry.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing that help for some foods. Can I help you? I'm doing okay. Can I help you? That's me. Are you trying to set up? Yeah, we have our own trucks. Thank you so much. Sorry, they called 4 times.
Okay.
Sorry. So like 3 or 3:30 my time. So it'd be
Sure.
4:30 your
I'll
time.
send you that. All right. Now the other question I saw you. I heard you. I joined a call right now about trucks, which reminded me of something. How you have your own trucks to ship everything out?
So not really. Well, we don't have our own trucks, but we
Yeah.
do have an agreement with a gentleman who has his company.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about route planning and all that. He handles.
No.
He figured that out.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's something that does GPS route planning and stuff. That's his problem, not yours.
Yes.
Got it. Tim, I need your help with one thing here. How many guns do you think they'll need? based on receiving, shipping, and then scanning in ingredients at the shop floor. Tim, can you sort of help me figure that part out? You're muted, Tim.
Thank
Just
you.
joking. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to know from them, I guess, what, like, where they're gonna use them, like how many people do they have? There are a lot of decisions to make, I think, in terms of the structure too. Like, are you gonna have people whose job it is just to scan things? Or is it gonna be part of the job of the person who's also performing the operation? Because there are different ways that people structure it, because sometimes people who are handling food, it's not easy for them to also handle a device,
Yeah,
right?
I
So you
will
have other people who just handle the devices, and then some people just handle the food, and that's it, right?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like the manager in the area and maybe the leads.
So you got 2 in shipping, 2 in receiving, and then how many? So that's 4 guns. How many on the shop floor then?
Packaging. 2 kettle kitchens. 2 production. So I would say 7,
And again, these are just
maybe 10.
okay. So these are just high level numbers that we start off with. And
Mhm.
then when we're in that deep discovery, going through all your processes, that number then gets exacted out. But this way, at least you have a budget made,
Right.
Right. All right. I've got what I need. I'm going to send you a meeting invite for tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I'll
Okay.
share the proposal and the pricing and the timeline, all that stuff with you.
Perfect.
And in the meantime, if you have any questions, just go for it.
Awesome. And you'll send the recording so I can get it off to my team?
Yes, I will.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
time.
Tim. Thanks, Heather. Bye, Derek.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Okay. Another one down. We'll have batch master this afternoon.
All right.
Sorry about your